you guys, welcome back to my channel. It is day 12 of my 12 days of Christmas, which means it is Christmas Day. Merry Christmas to those of you that are celebrating. And we're going out with a bang today. We are doing the last of my Best in Color series, and I kind of saved the best for last, you guys. Today's is all about pink and red. I love pink and red toned shadows, probably one of my very favorite colors to wear. If you pick the right shades, they can be very soft, neutral, feminine, but colorful at the same time. And some of my favorite shades to reach for on a daily basis, even more so than like neutral browns. I think I reach for soft pinks more than I reach for neutral browns, and I have a lineup for you guys today. Some beautiful, beautiful shades. I had a lot to pick from because I do have a lot of pink shadows in my collection, including the ones that I have on my eyes, which I'll get to as we go through the video. But before we jump into it, special welcome to any new visitors to my channel. Hope that you enjoy this one. If you do, I hope that you'll give it a thumbs up and make sure that you are subscribed. Also turn on those notifications because despite the fact that today is the last day of my daily uploads for 12 days of Christmas, I will be doing my year-end favorites next week, and January is going to be a full month of nothing new, which I do every January. So with that said, let's take a look at some pink and red eyeshadows. Kicking things off with the shade that I am wearing on just my innermost kind of third of my lid right here. This shade deserves some music. It is this one from Juvias Place. This is the Douce palette, which so incredibly sadly has been discontinued, which let's pause and just say this, Juvias Place, if you happen upon this video or my other videos in this series, will you please bring back this palette and the Tribe palette? I think they were some of your best and it was an absolute crime to let them go. This right here is the shade Puffs. It looks like just a very soft, shimmery light pink, but there is something extraordinarily special about this shade, you guys. Every time I wear it, I'm reminded that this is superior to any other pink inside my collection. Just have a look at the shine of this one. It almost has such a bright, sparkly finish that it looks somewhat blue or cool in toned without it necessarily being iridescent. Now this other shade in here, this actually is a duochrome. It does have kind of a blue or purple shift to it. This one is not a duochrome, but there's just something so intense about it. It's a very light white base pink that has just the subtlest bit of a cool tone to it. It is so stunning. It's brightening, it's reflective, it's creamy. The color of this is just unbelievable. It brings so much light to your eyes. I don't know, am I wrong? I feel like this is the prettiest shade I put on my inner corner in months. I absolutely love it. This entire palette has some pretty stellar pinks. This entire column, even these two shades right here, are so much fun, so beautiful, but of all of them, this is the one I would pick if you're going for something bright and punchy, reflective, but still soft and feminine at the same time. That is the perfect shade. Next in line, I have a single from Sydney Grace. This is one of my most reached for Sydney Grace shades, and it's this right here. This is the shade Blondie. This is a really soft, very neutral pink. This is a shadow that can probably be duped or mimicked within my collection. It reminds me a lot of something along the lines of Stila Kitten. Do you guys remember that shade? I never actually owned that shade, but I would swatch it almost every time I went inside Sephora. Here it is right here. You can see it's not quite as white based as the Juvias Place shade. It's not quite as cool toned. It's a good neutral kind of champagne pink. It has the beautiful reflective quality of the Sydney Grace shimmers that I absolutely just love on the lids. Super stunning. It goes with anything, whether you're pairing this with deep purples, deep browns, deep reds. There's really so much you could pair this with because the pink shift in it is very, very subtle. It's more of a champagne, I would say, than a pink. It's beautiful on the lid no matter what your skin tone or eye color is. This is one of those shades I just think looks good on absolutely anyone. For the third shade, we're going to jump into one of my favorite overall pink toned eyeshadow palettes, and it is the ColourPop Blush Crush palette. And I picked this shade right here. This is the shade Enamored. Beautiful, beautiful pink shade. This one is actually somewhat similar to the Sydney Grace one, but it's a little bit more of a strong warm pink, and it has a very, very soft, almost gold, peachy undertone to it. Really beautiful shade. Definitely more pink or peachy in tone, much more warm in tone. So if you really love warmer pinks, this is a beautiful one for your lid. And again, if you're into pinks as a whole, I would highly recommend this palette. There are some beautiful soft pink looks you can get out of this. Even more dramatic smoky pink looks with the level of depth that they give you in this palette. Really good range in here, great formulas. One of my most used palettes from ColourPop this last year, and this is one of the standout shades inside here. Next, I have one more lighter lid shimmer to share with you guys. When I was thinking about doing a pink palette, this is the shade I instantly thought of. It comes from the Huda Beauty Nude Light palette, and it is this shade right here. Definitely my favorite shade in this palette. I love this palette. This is such a fun, soft pink palette, and this shade is so, so stunning. This is a pink, and I would say more of a blue tone pink that has a strong gold and almost purple shift to it. So pretty. When you look at it straight on, it looks like a pinky gold, but when you shift it to the side, can you see that purple that comes out? Beautiful duochrome. Probably one of my favorite duochromes in my collection, and probably one of my favorite lid shades in my entire collection. I love this one. I often will reach into this palette specifically for that shade alone. It's just perfect. It's nice and brightening, but it's a little bit more interesting than just like a soft pink. It has an interesting shift that's going to kind of keep people guessing, but it's not like dramatic or over the top. Moving into some soft pink transition shades. The very first one is this right here. This comes from the Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette, and it is this shade right here. This is the shade Juliet. I think that is such a good name for this shade. This is such a soft, beautiful, elegant, romantic shade. It is very, very soft. It's the shade that I'm wearing up through my crease, and honestly one of my favorite transition shades, next to that one from C Color Cosmetics. If I'm not wanting to go for something brown and I want to use pinks or purples, this is so stunning. As I was swatching all the singles and all the palettes in my collection, this shade really stood out as something special. It's a pink for someone that's afraid of pink or doesn't like pink on the eyes because it's so incredibly soft, but it's not unnoticeable. Let me give it a quick live swatch for you guys. I'm not sure how much you'll be able to see this one. Such a soft, beautiful, matte, fleshy pink. I would say if you have medium to deep skin, this one may not show up on you. And that is one thing to note. The Sydney Grace Enduring Love palette comes in a light version and also a deep version. So some of the shades in the deep version will be a little bit deeper and different than these ones. I think that might be one of the ones that they switched up. But to those with medium or light to fair skin, this is so lovely. But I have one more matte pink shade from Sydney Grace. This is one of her singles, and it's this one right here. This is the shade Adore Me. This shade reminds me a lot of Juliet, but it's deeper. I would say it's a full level deeper than Juliet, and I also think it has just a little bit more of like a strong kind of warm pink undertone, but it's not super bold. It almost has like a plum undertone to it that makes it a little bit more neutral, despite the fact that it is quite pigmented and bold, but it's not over the top. This is the shade that I'm wearing through my crease. I do have something else deepening out this outer corner, but all that depth that you're seeing right there comes from this shade right here. Absolutely lovely, great formula, you guys know. And this shade is the perfect mid-tone pink to round out this whole collection. Next up, I have another Sydney Grace shade. I know, this is probably getting annoying. I tried to pick other things. I really did. I swatched everything, but they won most of the time. So I had to go with the ones that truly were my favorites. So this shade right here is the shade Save the Dance. This reminds me a little bit of the shade Blondie, but more of a mid-tone. This has a stronger pink shift to it. It actually reminds me a lot of the shade Adore Me, but in a shimmer version. So let me swatch that next to Adore Me. So there it is right there. Don't those look very similar? Beautiful, beautiful color. It is truly a pink, but again, it has that kind of plum undertone to it. Almost a brown undertone that makes it more of a neutral pink than like a bold in your face kind of pink. It's not so dark that it's something that I wouldn't reach for unless I'm really going for a darker kind of smoky eye. And when I'm using pinks, I usually don't like something too incredibly dark, especially on the inner part of my lid. Very beautiful shade. There's just something special about the undertone of this one. And when it comes to those kind of mid-tone shimmery pinks, I'm very picky, and this is one that I do really love. The next one I have is another pink tone. I would call this one like a pink with a purple or red shift to it. It comes from the Persona Identity 2 palette. It is this shade right here in the corner. This is the shade Empowered, one of my favorite shades in this palette. This is a beautiful, beautiful shade on the lid. I am wearing this shade just tapped into this outer corner right here. That's partly what's giving me the depth right there. Honestly, guys, I have so many shadows on right now that it's kind of hard to distinguish what's coming from where. But actually, let me swatch that next to the shade Save the Dance just to give you guys a comparison. This one's just a little bit deeper. It's not quite as foiled as this one. It's more of a satiny shimmer. Beautiful, beautiful shade. This is one of those shades because of the formula, because it's not too metallic. It works great in your crease as well, and you'll still get this beautiful color. Such a stunning shade. This is, I would say, again, a good like soft pinky red. But I did also want to include one good, strong, shimmery red, and for that, I went with this red from the Alter Ego Artemis palette, and it's this one right here, the shade Conquer. The shimmers inside this palette are so beautiful, you guys. And this red, while it's not something that I wear super often, it is beautiful, and when I'm in that mood for a strong red eye, this one is lovely. Oh, look at that, you guys. I have a lot of shades that are similar to this one, but I just like the form of this one a little bit more. It's a little bit more creamy, a little bit more foiled, and just look at that color and shine. So stunning. I still think this would be beautiful though, even with some of the pinks in here. While it definitely does have more red in it, I think it still would go with some of these deeper pinks as well. All right, wiping off those shimmers, we are down to my last three shades. These are all mattes, deeper pink and red tone mattes. And these ones are beautiful. Starting off with a bold, deep matte red. It comes from the BH Cosmetics Naughty palette, and it is this shade right here. This is the shade Candy Cane. Just look at this swatch, you guys. This is the most bold, intense red I think I own in my entire collection, at least when it comes to mattes. Now this is a red that when you blend it out a little bit, it is going to turn a little bit pink, especially if you blend it a lot. So I actually, if I really want it to maintain this kind of bold cherry red color, I'll try and pack this on a little bit more than blend it on. So the more you work with it, the more that you're going to kind of get like that pink kind of undertone. But honestly, no matter how you slice it, that is a beautiful shade. I actually even do like it blended as a little bit of bold pink in the crease. Not a look or a color that I'll wear super often, but when I'm in the mood for a red, this is a beautiful one. The next beautiful deep matte reddish pink, and this one is truly a mix between a red and a pink. It comes from the Natasha Denona Love palette, and it's this shade right here. This is the shade Heartbeat. As you can see, this is a nice kind of red toned pink. I'd almost say it even has a little bit of like a plummy brown in it. Such a stunning shade. One of my favorite shades in that entire palette. This in the outer corner is so incredibly beautiful. I love the undertone of this. Again, it's like a good mix of it's red, but it's also kind of purple and also kind of brown at the same time. It looks so great paired with any other red or pink tone. Very versatile for a matte red shade, and you guys know how much I love the Natasha Denona matte formula. They've made a lot of appearances in these videos because I do love them so much. There's something just extra rich and pigmented, and I know working with them is also very easy. They always blend out like a dream. But between those two and my next shade, I feel like all my bases are covered. So that brings us down to the last matte red or pink tone in my collection. This is a beautiful deep shade, also from Sydney Grace, and it is this shade right here, Lords A Leaping. This shade looks very brown in the pan, but it does have a good, strong, kind of reddy pink undertone to it. Reminds me a lot of the Natasha Denona shade, just a little bit darker and deeper. This is probably a shade that you could have grouped into the brown shades, also into the purple shades, because it does have some brown and purple in it, but I do see red in this shade, and it goes so well with reds and pinks. I forgot to mention, I'm actually wearing this Natasha Denona shade in my outer corner right there. That's what's kind of giving me that depth right there. And then I have a tiny bit of this shade just smudged right along this outer corner right there. So yeah, I'm wearing like half the shades on my eyes today. Not because I needed to, but because I could. And with that, that is it for my top 12 pink and red eyeshadows in my collection. These are the ones that were the best of the best. After swatching through everything, these are the ones that stood out above the rest. Here's one more look at all of them swatched together. Aren't they so beautiful? I hope that you guys enjoyed this grouping. I would love to know what your favorite red and pink eyeshadows are. Please feel free to leave those down below. But thank you guys again. Thank you for joining me on this 12 days of Christmas. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. I'm very excited about next week's year-end videos, guys. I've started planning those, and oh, it's gonna be so much fun. I've discovered so much great makeup this year that I cannot wait to spotlight for you guys, both drugstore and high-end. So be looking for that. Make sure that you are subscribed, that your notifications are turned on. But that is it for today. Merry Christmas to you. I hope that you guys have a wonderful holiday season, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye. I said that like I've been on YouTube forever. Actually, this is the second year that I've done it, but I'm going to do it every January. Maybe that was a more accurate way to put it. Cue music or angels or something really lovely. Oh, I have the perfect song. Can I play I Just Died in Your Arms Tonight? Because I feel like that's the song I hear whenever I put this shade on my lids.